What's going on, you guys? My name's Ty Knotts and welcome to Top 5 Unknowns. 5 teenager reactions when given a life sentence. Number 5. Back in 2013, a teenager by the name of Nicholas Lindsay was given a life sentence in prison after he fatally shot a police officer. However, this sentencing was overruled when the Supreme Court caught wind of the punishment. His sentencing was abolished and he faced a retrial, after the courts determined it unnecessary to give a teenage boy life in prison. He was then sent through the court system for a second time, though rather shockingly he was given a life sentence once again, this time without parole. Take a look at the young boy's reaction.
It is also tragic.
The convicted cop killer's former neighbor reacted to the judges handing down a second life sentence, but Nicholas Lindsay showed little interest in the hearing.
There is no indication that this type of violent behavior will stop.
A U.S. Supreme Court ruling forced Judge Thane Covert to reconsider the original punishment of life in prison with no chance of parole.
What the court decided was that juveniles, people under the age of 18 that commit a crime, don't have the same mental capacity to think like adults. Therefore, they should be treated differently.
Defense attorney Joe Episcopo says now minors convicted of first-degree murder are entitled to a hearing. Criminal history and odds of rehabilitation must be considered before life without parole is imposed.
The court has significant doubts about the defendant's potential for rehabilitation.
In a 27-page order, the judge cited aggravating circumstances, including an escalating criminal history, before he sentenced Lindsay to that second term with no chance of parole. His mom said little when it was over.
It's what the judge ordered, so that's what it is. It is what it is.
But Lindsay actually grinned when the judge read his ruling, the lack of remorse not lost on David Crawford's daughter, Amanda.
Justice was served, and I'm glad it's over, and it just kind of proves to me that he's an animal as he sat there smiling.
Number 4. In October of 2013, 17-year-old Michael Fay is said to have gotten into a conflict with his two brothers. The argument wasn't said to have involved anything major by anyone's standards. However, the altercation drove Fay to head to a storage unit 25 miles away to retrieve a handgun, then drive back to the home and fatally shoot his two brothers. In court, Michael confessed what he did only 3 weeks before his conviction. He was then sentenced to life in prison but won't be eligible for parole until he turns 77.
18-year-old Michael Fay received a life sentence today for the murders of teen brothers Blake and Blaine Romas. Before being sentenced, Fay addressed the court.
To say I feel bad is a huge understatement.
As part of a plea deal with Putnam County prosecutors, Fay admitted that he shot the brothers on May 9th of this year as they lay asleep in their beds.
On May 8th, there was an argument between Blake and Blaine and the defendant, which had to do with the defendant's older brother who had left the home previously. Blake and Blaine were supportive of the older brother returning to the home, and the defendant was angry that they would support his return to the home.
Prosecutors say that Fay first shot 14-year-old Blaine, who died instantly. Then he shot 17-year-old Blake. Blake did not die right away, and so according to prosecutors, Fay finished Blake off by strangling him. One by one, relatives of the slain brothers addressed the court. The statement of the victim's grandfather was read by a victim's advocate.
You could not even look them in the eyes. You had to wait until they went to sleep to murder them. Because you are a coward, a liar, a thief, and a murderer.
Family members shook their heads as Fay closed his remarks by professing his love for the two young men he admitted murdering.
Blake and Blaine, you already know I love you with everything that's in my heart. And I'm sorry I took you away from your mom and your grandpa and your grandpa.
Judge Russell Basinger was unmoved by Fay's remarks. He said his acts were ruthless and chilling and sentenced the teenager to 30 years to life for each murder to be served consecutively. Hubert Wiggins, WNWO News.
Number 3. After 2 years of withholding information from officers, John Freeman, age 17 at the time, decided to open up to investigators and admitted to taking the life of a 5-year-old girl. The details of the attack nor the moments leading up to it were ever released by police. However, John was sentenced to life in prison, showing little remorse during interrogation. Take a look at a clip from the court proceedings.
John, is there anything you want to say before sentencing?
John Freeman had nothing to say before he entered Niagara County Court for sentencing Thursday. Judge Matthew Murphy gave the maximum 22 years to life for killing 5-year-old Isabella Tennant.
Nothing will bring Isabella back to me.
Tennant's uncle read a prepared statement in court for Bella's dad, Mike.
I will be in pain for the rest of my life. I didn't get to see Isabella start kindergarten, first grade, high school, teach her how to drive, go to her prom, or get married and have children.
Bella's life was taken last August. Freeman was looking after Bella at her great-grandmother's house in Niagara Falls when he took her life. Authorities say the 17-year-old choked Bella to death, put her body in a garbage bag, then dumped it in a trash can. Prosecutors say Freeman appeared calm when he explained it to police.
He spoke in cold detail of how, with his bare hands, he murdered a defenseless 5-year-old girl.
In court, Freeman said he was remorseful. Through the tears, he told Bella's family he's sorry for what happened.
I'm so sorry for all that family. Nothing can take away from that. I can't explain that. I gotta wake up every day with that. So, just ask. Actually, I don't ask. I'm just sorry.
As for Bella's family, they say the sentence doesn't bring her back, but she will never be forgotten.
From this point forward, hopefully we can put this part behind us and remove the light that she was.
Number 2. When TJ Lane was a sophomore in high school, students say that he caught them completely off guard when he entered the cafeteria of the school with a gun and opened fire on multiple students. His motive still remains unknown, and classmates who knew him said that he was the last person they would expect to be involved in a shooting. He was sentenced to life in prison, where he's remained since 2013. Take a look at TJ's reaction upon hearing his sentencing.
Moments after entering the courtroom, Ohio school shooter TJ Lane took off his shirt. Underneath was a t-shirt with the word killer handwritten on it. It was similar to what he was wearing when police arrested him in February of 2012 after he opened fire in the Chardon High School cafeteria in northeastern Ohio. Lane killed 3 students and injured 3 others, and he pleaded guilty last month. When given a chance to speak, the 18-year-old Lane turned to the victims' families, made an obscene gesture with his finger, and used profanity. Crying could be heard, and people were visibly upset. Lane smirked as a prosecutor called him an evil person. A mother of one of the teens who survived addressed Lane directly.
You're really lucky there's so many police in this room right now. You could smile all you want.
The judge sentenced Lane to life in prison without parole. He was not eligible for the death penalty because he was a minor at the time of the shootings. After the sentencing, prosecutor James Flays spoke out about what happened in court.
I'm totally disgusted by that, but it has been our position all along that he knew what he was doing. He planned this out, and what he did today is consistent with what we thought of him all along.
Lane's sister, who was herself in the school cafeteria when her brother opened fire, offered sympathy for the victims' families.
What I keep coming back to is that hate will only generate more hate, but forgiveness and compassion will bring peace and understanding. The brother in the courtroom and that did this was not the brother I knew.
Number 1. In June of 2006, a young man named Dexter Johnson was arrested after police determined him to have been involved in a fatal carjacking involving a 23-year-old and a 17-year-old. After his capture, he was taken to court where he received the death penalty. He appealed this decision with the Supreme Court, though his appeal was denied. He remains on death row to this day, with his execution date being currently undetermined.
Dexter Darnell Johnson, the jury has found you guilty of capital murder. In accordance with the laws of the state of Texas, this court hereby assesses your punishment of death. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is going to complete your jury service. I'm going to meet you in the jury room.
All rise.
He's just a God! It's a God!
See you, ladies and gentlemen.
Keep him back! Keep him back! Everybody back! Stay right there.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep updated with our videos.